Hello, everyone. I'm Janet McHenry, and this workshop is going to help you create meaningful social media posts. Now, you are probably on some form of social media: Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. It's seemingly all those different kinds of social media opportunities are endless. And that sometimes is overwhelming because we try to think, there's just so much to do. I can't do any of it. And we get overwhelmed. But this is going to help you kind of simplify your thinking and help you create a plan so that you are systematically posting and on maybe a couple or more even social media places. The first thing we need to understand is, a rationale for this. Why do I have to do this? I don't like to be out there. It's too hard. I'm a private person. Do I really have to? Yes, you do, because this is part of our responsibility for getting out the word. If the disciples didn't go forth and share the news about Jesus, where would we be today? Because we have a message that matters. We want to be able to reach our people directly, and establishing relationships with them on the various social media platforms really can help. It really can sell books. And another reason is what that is going to do. It's going to, as you are posting about your life and the kinds of things that you write, this will help to build that sense of trust in your potential audience and that credibility. Because as you begin, for example, if like me, you write on prayer, and so you invite people to share their prayer requests with you, or if you do posts on prayer or scriptures that relate to prayer in some way, what you're doing is actually establishing credibility for yourself as a writer on that particular topic. And this is really important. It will also tend to create a sense of community, and not just throwing things out there, but people begin to feel as though they really know you. And so, even as I know recently, my mom passed away. And when I shared that on social media, I got at least 700 responses from people just on Facebook, who were saying that they were praying for me and that they cared. Think about that. Hundreds of people extending sympathy and care to me simply because I shared something that was breaking my heart. So this actually can create a sense of caring about one another. And people say, but those aren't real friends. Those aren't real kind of people that you can reach out and touch. That is something that you can actually develop. If you are in various communities around the country, and you know that a couple of your friends are in a city you're going to visit, you can reach out to them and say, hey, is anybody going to be available in Cincinnati? I'm going to be visiting there, next whatever. This kind of thing really can create meaningful relationships. So one thing that people think is that they're always going on social media to sell, sell, sell. That is not kind of an appropriate way to approach it. We want to approach any kind of social media post that we put out there with the mindset that we are going to serve before we sell. If all our social media posts are all about buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, people are just going to turn you off. You know what it's like to go through a scroll of Facebook or Instagram, and all you see is ads there. And I see that complaint a lot on social media. All I get is ads. All I'm seeing is ads, and there are people can actually take out ads on these various forms of social media. But I think what actually begins to establish the relationship is when you are being helpful, you are serving in some way, you're authentic, you're present, you're relatable, and then people will begin to care about you and what you're doing. So, what we want to do is to begin to focus on relationships over that sense of reach. not worrying so much about, oh, I need to max out my number on my personal profile on Facebook, or I need to get into thousands of whatever, to just be real, to be friendly, to be kind, stay away from kind of political or kinds of inflammatory kinds of posts. And you may feel that that's important to you, but as you are doing that, you are actually probably eliminating some potential readers there. Okay, when you are kind of creating a presence on social media, people begin to hear you. If you are sarcastically funny, which I can be, they begin to recognize that as your voice and part of your brand, as part of who you are. Maybe use certain words all the time. So that I think there is an important need to kind of stay consistent in tone, to be positive, to be inspiring, to be informative, to be humorous in some kind of way, to be self-deprecating. All of those kinds of qualities in your posts are going to draw people to you. And as you respond, then that's as they share your things in their feeds, and other people are going to learn about you and want to be your friend. So, go ahead and feel like you can tell your unique story and your calling as a writer. Identify yourself as a writer. Don't necessarily identify yourself as a bookseller. Let that come later. I do have one caution as we are kind of discussing our books and our projects, our works in project, all that kind of thing, to not reveal what we're writing about too soon. So if, for example, you get a contract, you get a commitment to write a book with a publisher, don't share your title. Don't share details about the content of your book. What you can say is, I'm so excited. I just signed a contract with Redemption Press for a book on prayer. You can say that, but don't share the title. Don't share the hook. Don't share all the specifics about what it's going to be about, because there are a lot of trolls out there and ideas can get stolen. We generally are going to find that those who are following us are kind and generous and patient and supportive, but we just don't want to release that too soon. And it's not necessarily someone's going to steal the content right away. It's that it might go into their subconscious, and then all of a sudden they get an idea and they think it's their original idea, forgetting that actually that was something that they saw on Facebook. So just be careful about that. I wanted to make sure I made that caution. You want to know who your audience is. And generally, though, for example, my audience are people who are already in the faith and they want to learn more about prayer and God's word, what word tells us. My business name is Looking Up. I try to encourage people to keep looking up through praying life and the study of God's prayers. And my mission statement there. So as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about who my reader is, the general age for those folks, a gender, the kinds of things that they struggle with, what are their heart's desires, all of that. And then after that, you begin to create your avatar. That's the next bullet point here. Like, create a simple reader avatar. I went through a marketing course once, and they actually had gave us an assignment to find an image of someone, an actual picture of someone who could be our reader. And often the reader, might be my age, but there's a different age. But I like to think of readership in terms of personal needs, those kinds of felt needs that people have. So recently, I'm working on a new book proposal right now. And as I thought about kind of the demographics for my particular reader, I thought of women already familiar with basic Christian principles, but they're hungry to go deeper, to move from surface level communication with God to transformative intimacy. They long to know who they truly are by knowing Him more fully. And then I try to get really specific, like bullet, like maybe half a dozen or more bullets that put more a clearer face onto this avatar, such as young professionals navigating identity and purpose, moms balancing motherhood with spiritual growth, empty nesters reevaluating their spiritual priorities. So here I'm not saying women from the ages of 25 to 75. You're not hearing that. What I'm trying to do is actually identify who these people are in their life place. Ministry leaders and mentors discipling other women, uh, those who are open to spiritual formation practices. So I have about 10 of these bullets where I actually identify my audience. So those are the people, typically that I will put into book proposals as my audience with their felt needs. But also, as I'm thinking about who's following me on social media, those are the people I'm kind of targeting. So do I accept friendships from men? No, I don't. Unless there's someone I have met at a writer's conference, they request my friendship. I know that's a safe person, someone who's taught at a writer conference, but mostly they're going to be women who are reading my books. So that's who I actually am sort of targeting with my social media posts. We want to think about, again, what do these people need? What are their fears? What are their hopes? What kind of questions do they have about the faith? What kind of struggles are they having in terms of their spiritual development? Because that's where I am. I'm in the place of writing Bible studies, devotional books, books on prayer. So what are the pieces of struggle that those people have? And then I'm creating content that meets those real needs. Though, and that can be in various forms, but I have kind of a daily process that I'll share with you in a little bit about what I do and post daily in 6 places on social media. I want to engage their heart. And sometimes that's just kind of a lighthearted, funny something self-deprecating. Often it's more like, oh, I forgot again, those kinds of things that kind of, I think sometimes we take ourselves too seriously. And I just kind of want to lighten the mood on social media as well. But I also will post real kind of heartfelt things, things that I've come to understand about the faith, some things about relating to family, maybe struggles or whatever. And I've found that those kind of emotional connections definitely do build loyalty. So ask yourself, okay, what will move them? Given the kind of subject matter that I want to write, what will actually move them? What will help them? What will inspire them, challenge them? What will lighten their day? And that's, probably that my business name is called Looking Up. And so on a daily basis, I post a scripture verse and maybe like a one-line prayer, and it's at least that much, 7 days a week, that I feel I've prayed about it, and I share that with someone, with those on my social media places every day, with a meme that I have created, something that will inspire them, something that will make them think, oh, that's just what I needed today. Every week I get responses, personal messages, things like that. Thank you so much for posting that today. That's just what I needed. And so that's where we want to be able to kind of engage people. When you are posting that kind of material, then those people are become invested in you, and they begin to look for what you post. And then they will kind of begin to engage with the kind of thing that you're writing. So I think there are in this series here, there are 5 different types of posts that you can put up, and these are maybe you want to create a plan. You're going to post Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This will be an eventual great scheme for you to be able to post something each day of the week. you may notice that some do things like Motivational Monday or Terrific Tuesday, Weeping Wednesday, they do that kind of a thing. But the first type is be something inspirational, a quote from someone, or a scripture verse, or a testimony, a testimonial, your personal testimony, or someone's testimonial, maybe about you, your book, something like that. So you can create a simple meme and using Canva. You probably need, if you're not already, subscribe to Canva, do that. I highly recommend that you go into their professional level, which is really only about $100 a year. It's one of the best investments that you can make in your business as a writer, to create professional kind of designs that you can post online. And the images that you can get there are all, you can use those without having to gain extra permission or pay extra for those kinds of things. So again, this is what I do on a daily basis. First thing I do in the morning is I read my Bible. I read through the Bible in a year. You may know that. And so right now, today, I just read Proverbs 12 through 14. And so as I am reading, I'm asking God, what's the verse? What's the verse, or what are the verses you want me to share with others to encourage them to keep looking up? So I'm reading along, and I'm definitely underlining some things. I do a little annotation. Eventually, I do some creative kinds of journaling because these Bibles go to my grandchildren. I'm working on number 10 right now. But I have 2 more children who are going to begin having kids. So there will be more Bibles to come. But so this is what I do. So I go on I found the verse. Okay. I feel like this is the verse. I go on Canva. I find an image there. You can find, there's like thousands, maybe millions of photos there. I'll put in I'll put one like woman at a lake. I'll do that as a search. I'll put woman at a lake. I find a woman, and I find that I need to have enough space to be able to write the verse. So there has to be, some space in there. It can't be too full of things that are going to work against my putting text on top of the image. Then I put the Bible verse in there. I get the exact wording from BibleGateway.com. I put the reference there, and I put which form I'm using, the NIV or the ESV. I put that there. And then I put JanetMcHenry.com at the bottom. And that creates my meme. I create that meme in a standard Instagram square, which I can use both on Facebook and on Instagram. Then I will resize it for Pinterest and for Twitter as well. So I create an initial meme, and then I resize it for Pinterest, and I resize it for Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. And then it will take me a maximum of 5 minutes, and I'm familiar with Canva now and how to use it. And so that's, it used to take me a little longer than that, but it's not that hard. So I will immediately put that on my Facebook page that's called Bible Girls. This year we are Bible Girls 2025. We're in, I think, our 13th year reading through the Bible together. 750 women there. So it goes there. And then I put it on Pinterest, where I can schedule it, and as I work 2 days ahead of time. And then I'll put it on Twitter. And then I will also go back to Facebook, and I will put it on Meta for my professional page. And I'll schedule it there. So it's scheduled for Pinterest, for Twitter, and for my Facebook author page. And the day that it comes out, then I go to my author page and I copy paste it and put it on my personal profile, which has 5,000 people there. And I also put it, and it automatically goes to my Instagram account. So that means it's in 6 places. I've created one meme, I resized it, which takes really like not even a minute to resize it, for those other 2 forms, Pinterest which looks like that, and Twitter, which is, is horizontal. Pinterest is vertical. Twitter is horizontal. And so, effectively in 10 minutes or less on a daily basis, I can post to all those places. So my reach is going out to an extended number of people. Occasionally, I will put an appropriate post. Maybe I have a picture of a walker or somebody like that on my the walking club page, which currently has 7.5 thousand followers on that Facebook page, which is crazy. But you see how people learn about you. You are consistent on a daily basis. Just tell yourself what you're going to do, and then make that commitment yourself to follow through with your plan. So start with something inspirational. Okay. And here's another type of post. Educational tips. Okay, so people consider me an expert on prayer walking, which then they assume I'm an expert on walking. And I actually have read a lot of books on walking. And believe it or not, there is a science to walking. I read 4 or 5 books just on walking before I wrote my book, Prayer Walk. So one thing that you can do is to put tips that relate, to whatever subject matter you're writing on. I know Rob, has a book that's coming, a children's book that's coming out about cats. And there's a cat figure in the book. And so what he could do is look up all kinds of crazy sorts of tips, insights, information about cats. And he could do a cat meme every week. People love the cat memes, right? Or if he has a cat, you could just do little videos of the cat or just little posts about what the crazy cat did this week. That kind of thing would garner a lot of followers, believe it or not. You could put insights. Maybe I know Tara Johnson, the writer, she has written quite a few novels that are set in the Civil War period time. So, and what she does, it's so interesting, is she finds out these little known facts about history during that time period. And they're sort of did you know sorts of things. They're a little longer, but they're fascinating. And your posts don't have to be long. Like you could put, did you know kinds of things about your particular subject matter. Maybe you're writing on trauma and you could put statistical information. So think in terms of education. How could you educate others about your particular, book theme that you're writing about? That will really help people. And then doing so creates creates that sense that you are an authority on that particular topic. Make sure that if you're using statistics, that you are using reliable sources for those. Okay, third way, could be conversational. Just you can ask questions. What's your favorite ice cream? Maybe on Wednesdays, wonderful Wednesday. You just always have a question you threw out there. People love to answer questions. They love that they've been asked, to answer a question. And I will get, if I post like a Bible meme and I'll get a few responses, thank you, that really helped me. But if I post a question like, what's your favorite ice cream? I bet I would get 200 or more responses on that. And so maybe all I do is I take a picture of my little sundae that I would make with chocolate and caramel sauce and pecans and a couple of little pieces of chocolate on it, call it a sundae. And I post that. This is my favorite little sundae. What's yours? And then people will post pictures, which will get the algorithm going crazy, and they'll put all kinds of fun stuff like that on there. You can also use the poll feature on social media. Maybe you say, what's your favorite 4th of July food? And then you have all these selections and they get to pick. People love being asked questions. That's the third type. We're going to look at number 4 now. Those personal kinds of things, behind the scenes, the wins, the failures. Just like even as I change seasonal decor around my house, I take pictures of my porch, pictures of the other decor that I might have inside. if I find a really cool little decorative something from the thrift store for $1, I post those kinds of things. I'm like, "Isn't this cool? I got it for $1.25." It's fun the way that, people kinda resonate with that sort of thing, that it piques their interests. And as you're, sharing your wins, your failures, have a balance of those. Don't be that person who's always winning contests, like, and you don't have to announce that you lost, but I'm just saying, like, "Oh, today I'm really struggling with getting motivated." What do you do to motivate yourself to do something you don't wanna do? I mean, those kinds of things. Be real with people. And another type of post, the fifth type is promotional. And what I want you to notice here is there are four other kinds of posts, kinds of things you do before you even begin saying, "Hey, my book just came out, and you can get it on sale here for whatever." Uh, we will do enough of that during a time of a release, but it really is important to kind of build community with those other kinds of posts first. And those kinds of things you can promote could be your books, that you're speaking at some place. I know there are a couple speakers who will say, "Hey, I'm going to be at Milwaukee at such and such church. Are you in the neighborhood? Would you like to come?" That's always lovely, and I've had people kind of pop in on me when I put that out on social media. You can share kind of events that you've done. I noticed that Carol Kent, the speaker and writer, that she doesn't post that she's going somewhere, but the Monday after she's gotten home, then she posts several photos thanking the event planners and, putting all the kind of fun pictures there with all the activities that they did. So, note to self on that. That's really a savvy way to handle that. So again, what I wanted you to notice is this 80-20 rule. So if we are always selling, selling, selling on our social media pages, we're going to tire people out. So 4 of your 5 posts are going to provide some kind of value, some kind of service, some kind of help, some kind of encouragement to someone else. Where only about one of those 5 posts you're asking people to do something, or to promote something, or to share something about what you've done or your book. As you're doing these social media posts, the first line really is important. Just as with a book, you're thinking about the hook on the back cover of the book, and we spent a lot of time working on back cover hooks. You can check out that video and the various ones that Book Marketing Pro Academy can offer you. That first line is really important. It is something that's going to draw curiosity of the reader. It's going to have some sort of a kind of an emotional tug, or have some kind of a bold statement there. Here are a couple of examples. Nobody told me nobody told me this about writing. That could be a really kind of a funny repeating line that you use maybe once a week on social media as you're writing your book. Nobody told me that I was going to have 6 different editors on my book. No one told me this about writing, that I was going to have to hold my writing very lightly and release my little darlings, that I thought I had to have in my book. So you could think of a series of those. Or here's another one: "I almost quit, then God showed me this." Those kinds of things that are going to make people want to keep reading. That first line is so important. And you do want to make it visual, and studies show that those posts that have some kind of a meme or a photo of some kind are going to be much more eye-catching than simple text itself, which can get lost in the feed. So use those methods of eye-catching graphics, video. You can use Facebook Live or Reels. Use those kind of templates that Canva can help you with, to create various kinds of memes. And then there are some tools for here mentioned here: Canva, Adobe Express, stock photos, But again, if you just go to Canva, if you subscribe to their pro account, again, it's only about $100 a year. You'll find that there are photos there that will meet your need in one way or another. Use those hashtags wisely. The snarky ones, people use kind of for fun, such as, um, hashtag, um, my mom said something funny today. I mean, that probably is not going to go too far. So what we're doing is we're choosing those hashtags wisely that are going to have, some impact in terms of when people are doing searches, and then they can find them find your post more easily. There's several different kinds of hashtags. One source says to have 5 targeted hashtags per post. And these are some examples of that. The niche kind of post, Christian author, that perhaps that's going to get you some movement, particularly if you're writing about your writing. One that's very general is faith. That's probably going to be in the millions. You generally want to pick a hashtag that's in the tens of thousands, maybe into the 100,000s. So because your post might otherwise get lost if someone's doing a search under just the topic faith, because remember, there are different kinds of faith. So, people, there, different kinds of religions. So that hashtag faith might not get you exactly who you want to be on finding you. Here's one that's kind of trending: Monday motivation. So, think about, what hashtags are you generally going to use? I typically, and some social media are more friendly to this. I use hashtags on Pinterest, on Facebook. I will only Twitter is now not so friendly to hashtags, so I will only put one there. But typically, my hashtags are, I have about, I don't know, close to 10 of them, and they're words like pray, prayers, pray without ceasing, looking up, prayer works, a whole series of those. And then there might be some that if my Bible meme relates to trauma or, hardship of someone, I'll choose those kinds of words for that. But generally I can just kind of copy paste from an older post and then use those so I don't have to recreate them every time. So they're just little methods to make everything to run a little more quickly for you as you get the rhythm of it. Remember that consistency in your posts build trust. I have people tell me, well, Janet, yeah, I finally got on Facebook and I was posting, about 3 times a week, and I haven't done it for 2 years now. Ah, that's terrible. You have to, choose your places where you're going to go and be there. And I would hope you're there every day. Watch what Carol Tetzloff does, that she will always find something to post that's personal on a daily basis. They're more like get to know Carol and her life kinds of posts. And she makes it fun. So, make sure that, certainly the people are aware that you're a writer and maybe the general subject matter you're writing on, because you're sharing those kinds of things that build that sense of authenticity and authority for your topic. But if you have this season where you're not doing it at all, you're going to lose people. And even as my profile page, I have 5,000 friends on there. Consistently, some people drop off, or I'll get to the place where I want to add some people in there. My business author Facebook page, I think, is around 1,700 or something like that. It just doesn't move as fast. So I actually use my personal profile on a daily basis. I use both on a daily basis, but all the kind of fun stuff you'll find on my profile as opposed to my author page. Whether you have an author page or not, doesn't matter. That's been debated. Whether you have a profile page or not, and you just have your author page, that's been debated. You decide, what you think, where people are going to best find you on a consistent basis. But on I have another page that I run for our local thrift store. So I actually have 3 different accounts. And what I find is the interaction for me happens most intimately and personally on my profile page for whatever reason. The other feeds are full of stuff that really don't necessarily interest me. I don't care about Hollywood figures and all of that, or some of those business that are in there. I really don't care about that, but I want to develop relationships that are real. So that's where I'm kind of falling. And all of my Facebook posts also go to Instagram automatically. You can set that up, so that's not hard to do. So you can be in those 2 places pretty much, at least, a couple more times daily. So post 3 to 5 times a week. Just plan it, put it on your calendar, make yourself do it. Um, I think there are 2 kinds of people who post. Maybe someone who's more like me, who I have a routine, and I'm on those 6 places on social media every day. And so it takes me 10 minutes or less. After I've done my Bible reading, I've picked my verse, it's really only 5 to 10 minutes max to put it on all those 6 places. But there are those seasons when I'm like the other kind of social media poster who like wants to crank everything out in one long day. And so you work at it in one long day, and you can create 20, 30 different memes and kind of graphics and things and comments and polls and questions and things like that. And then you can schedule them. And you can't schedule on your profile page, but you can schedule on a Facebook professional account. And the other social media have professional accounts. I don't have a professional account on Twitter, but I can schedule on Twitter. And I can also schedule on Pinterest without having to pay money on either of those 2 places. So, think about what's going to work for you. I don't do a lot of interaction on Twitter, but I had some couple social media gurus who told me I should be there. So my involvement there is minimal, but at least I have some kind of placement there on a daily basis. So post 3 to 5 times a week. You can batch your content in advance, or you just diligently, determine this is just part of what I do on a daily basis. If I'm going to take a trip, I will create all my posts in advance, so they're just following according to schedule. Because when you're traveling, I just like to have my time freed up a little bit more than that. So don't want to be tied to the computer. Okay, moving on. You want to also think about, how you're going to place a call to action, an invitation for someone to respond to you in some kind of way. And this doesn't necessarily have to be like hey, do you want to buy my book? It simply be like, again, boy, I really, I struggle to stay close to my healthy eating plan, but I failed again today because I ate too many carbs or whatever. What do you do? It's that, there's a question, so though you're asking someone to respond to you. So you can put these things, comment below, or share if this helped you, tag a friend who needs this. And so those kinds of things can build your followers on your social media pages, especially the share and the tag things, because then they're posting it on their feed. If their friend will get tagged, so that'll be on their page. All those things work really effectively. There's also the idea to cross promote content. And I've been talking about this a little bit about what I personally do. The idea that I create a graphic on a daily basis on Canva, and this will go on Facebook and Twitter, but I also make it in the Pinterest form, and I make it in the Twitter form as well. And I'm putting the same thing on all these pages. About once, twice a week, I will actually write a devotional piece that goes with one of the scriptures that I'm posting there. I used to do this on a daily basis, But then after writing this sweet little 365-day devotional book, I found myself completely burned out on what to say. And I kind of got tired of my stories. But as God leads, some incident will happen or something funny will happen. And so then I have something fun to kind of share and build an idea on. So that's how I can kind of get a few additional responses to people on social media there. But, it's more than just a post with a like a one-line prayer, but it's actually something from my heart or an insight that I have. You can share these also in your blog. You can reuse the same content on your blog. And then it's discoverable, which, by the way, Pinterest and Twitter are discoverable when people are doing searches. Facebook is not. Facebook is not searchable for content. So if someone wanted to, for example, they wanted to learn more about prayer walking, they couldn't find anything on my Facebook page about prayer walking. They're not going to go there if they do a search on the internet, but they might find something on my because I have a whole board on my Pinterest page on prayer walking, and then they would find posts on prayer walking on Twitter, etc. So be thinking about how you can reuse content here or there. Maybe you could decide you're going to do a reel once a week. Challenge yourself to do that, or Facebook Live, something like that. Maybe reuse this content even in your email that you send out to people on your subscriber list. I have several templates that I'm going to share with you. Maybe you're still wondering, what could I do? What could I do? What could I say? What does this look like? Well, here's a template for a mini devotional post. Not hard. Look at this. You post the scripture. You have a 2-sentence reflection. Like, what does this mean to you? What do you think it means? What's its context? What's its meaning? And then you pose a question, which really essentially can be a call to action of some kind, to get people to respond. It can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a 1,000-word thing. In fact, who is actually reading those long posts on social media? If you don't hook me really well and make me keep reading for some reason or another, I'm not reading those long social media posts anymore. I want them short. If I post one, it's probably going to be about, is that helpful? It's going to be about that long. It's only going to be a couple short paragraphs if someone's going to read. Get to the point quickly, and then offer some kind of a challenge or call to action. Another template. Here, you're writing a book. So you could have these sort of series, behind the book series, a humorous story or a poignant story that you want to tell. One thing that I found that people respond to is when I have been sharing quotes about things that my mom used to say. And, it could be something like mom said or grandma said today. It's something really kind of fun. If you're in fact writing about that particular topic, or share a struggle, that shaped a particular chapter that you're writing. But again, don't give too much away. Your publisher will not want you to do that. Another template that you can use to garner reader engagement, just like questions that you put out there. What book changed your life? What's your favorite book? What book changed your life? What book did you not enjoy? What's a new book you've read recently that you really loved? Or if you could ask the author one thing, okay, you could say, well, I read about the Civil War. What would you like to know about the Civil War? So it's little questions like that. Did you know what the Gettysburg conflict was all about? Those kinds of things. And then another template is the quote graphic. And I do that. I use the scripture verse in there. So you could pull quotes from your book to do that, and especially as you are beginning to promote it. You could do scripture verses. Again, kind of think about your brand, think about your audience, think about your book. What will people want to know in that particular context? And I always stick my website at the bottom, or your handle. So it'd be at Janet McHenry, or I put janetmchenry.com. So again, that's not going to be clickable, but that gives credit to me. I have seen sometime people have taken my graphics, taken my name off, just cut my name off, and then they share them. That's not cool. It's wonderful when we share one another's social media kinds of posts, but always give credit in one way or another to that originator, please. It's just polite. Okay, prayerfully plan those posts. Ask the Holy Spirit what you should share. Think about your audience and be bold and sensitive and spirit led. Um, always think of my question on a daily basis is, God, from your word, what will encourage someone to keep looking up? And so that is and that way my reading is focused. It's focused for me personally, but it's focused for others as well. Learn to use Canva. It really is an essential skill these days. It will save you tons of time. You will be surprised how easy it is to use. You just begin to notice all the features are there. Experiment with them. Have some practice runs. If you looked at my initial memes, they're like, ooh, they were not so good. And it took me a little bit of time, but if you keep them simple, really can't mess up. Just sticking a verse on a pretty template. Use the templates for social media on Canva, and just pick one of those. Maybe you begin to create sort of a theme color that goes with your other branded colors that you have on your website and so forth. That's a nice thing to do. I don't do that. Maybe I should, but I felt that restricts me because, again, I'm posting more than 365 days, 365 times in a year. You can then see, what is working for you. You can track the likes that you're getting, notice the shares you get, notice the saves, the comments. Um, it's kind of funny. We can post wonderful content about a very serious subject matter, and we can get a dozen responses. But when we ask a simple question like, you post a picture of yourself licking an ice cream cone, we ask, what's your favorite ice cream? I guarantee you'll probably get 2 to 300. I mean, I have 5, 6, 7,000 followers on Facebook, but I, probably would get 200 or more comments from people about that. And when I don't remember if I shared earlier, my mom passed away. I think I received between 6 and 700 pieces of condolence about that. So be tender, be real, be funny, and learn what kind of content actually resonates with your audience. Just simply strive to be faithful. We would all love for every single meme that we post out there to go viral, and it does happen sometimes with people. Some reels, I think you potentially could have more success with a reel in that way if you've come up with a very clever kind of idea or series of ideas. But I think ultimately, consistency. I spelled that wrong. Consistency and authenticity matter more than those particular kinds of trends. So I'd like to challenge you as we're drawing to a close here. I'd like to challenge you to make a plan to create 3 posts, to post at least 3 times on whatever social media that you are on currently, to create one devotional. That's more devotional. Maybe you choose a scripture and you're offering a reflection about that. Remember how many sentences it was? It was only about 4 or 5 sentences. That's not hard. We should be able to do that. One personal insight and then one kind of engagement question. All of that you could do, virtually in minutes and 3 times a week. That is a very feasible plan to do. And then to create your content calendar. And your content calendar could be something that you do online, but it could be as simple as just having a paper calendar and challenging yourself to put something Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something, on a consistent basis. Have that particular kind of plan and have those three different content themes to rotate around. So on Mondays, maybe everybody begins to expect that you're going to have an inspirational or motivational Monday kind of a quote or something. And then even as we close today, to brainstorm 10 different kinds of ideas of what you could put out there. So it's not hard, it's fun. It actually initiates relationships with people you otherwise would never have met. And I also invite you to consistently like, to comment, to share other people's social media posts. A lot of people will scroll, 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 and then find that they're not getting this reciprocal kind of feedback from others on their page. But you will, um, all of your metrics will go up, up, up if you are liking, commenting on, sharing other people's posts. They will want to follow you. It's a reciprocal kind of thing that we do for one another. And I block out a chunk of time every morning to be able to do that. So I get business done in the morning, and then I do my writing activities later in the day. But it's not that hard, and it's I think, years ago, I think it was 2014, my friend Kim said, "Oh, there's kind of a new thing that's going on. It's called Facebook. I think you'd like it, Jan." I'm like, "Oh, I've heard of it. It seems like work." She goes, "No, just try it out. I think you'd really like it." And she was absolutely right. Because I have found my people there. It helps. It has those people I've never even met have joined my book launch teams. They have bought my books. They're sharing my material. Their friends are buying my books. And so all of it really will, you'll find pay off in the end as we are doing this all to the service of God's glory. So I'm going to just kind of scroll here to see if there are some questions here. Hello, Kathy. I think Carol may be lurking in the background. Um, yeah, Kathy, you're cockatoo. I think if you have a cockatoo and that cockatoo has a wonderful little personality, just putting something fun on a weekly basis about that would build followers. People, there are beard people out there. I can guarantee that they will want to see that. That'd be super fun. Um, Definitely. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Grandma made us some spaghetti. Do what you like. Okay. People often will, that's a good point. People will often kind of take pictures. They go out to eat. And there was a whole series of memes, one time and photos about what's for dinner kind of a thing. I think what's for dinner, it has become a little passe, but if you create something really fun and it's really new, and you feel like you'd want to share the recipe, people love that kind of stuff too. Um, yes, you can. Kathy asked, can we add our pics to Canva? Yes, there is an upload feature on Canva, and you can upload your book covers, you can upload your personal photos there, and you can incorporate them. You get your headshots. Yesterday, I created 2 one-sheets for book projects that I'd like to pitch at Speak Up coming up. And I was able to load my headshot onto my one sheet, no problem. Yes. Where can I see your post, Janet and Sarah, to see examples? I'm on Facebook as Janet McHenry. You can do a search for me there. You'll find my headshot. Again, I'm on Pinterest, on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. For LinkedIn, keep in mind that LinkedIn is geared toward business people. So the business community is on LinkedIn. And the only times I really will post something on LinkedIn is when I have completed a podcast, radio, or TV interview. I'll post then the fact that I have done it. I will when the episode drops, then I post that link. I go back again and put that there. If I've received an award or if I have book release or I've done something professionally, I'm that kind of thing. I'm writing about my retreats that I do or that I'm speaking at a conference. I post those business related kinds of things there. I don't necessarily put inspirational kinds of things on LinkedIn, but I think it's a good connection. And I think my following there is approaching around 2,000 as well. So, it's another way to kind of get your name out into the community. Okay. Alrighty. So I think we've took care of questions there. And if you have additional questions after this video, you could, just message me or put it on the Facebook page, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.